Well, oddly, many of that team are returning to Swindon for a reunion tonight before Town start the post-Malpass era with caretaker David Byrne in charge. They're entertaining League One leaders Leicester City tomorrow.
Now, it's the first time the clubs have met since their epic playoff final encounter at Wembley back in 1993. Swindon won that game to clinch a place in the Premier League. And Phil Duffel has been speaking to some of the Town heroes from '93.
This is Swindon Town's youth team, and in charge of coaching the next generation is a man who'll forever be remembered for his part in one of the greatest games in the club's history.
Well done, Riggers! Relax, Will! Out of your feet!
Under former Welsh international fullback Paul Bodin, Swindon's youth team have won 14 matches in a row. But whatever he achieves as a coach, it won't be easy to top the moment when he scored the penalty which sealed Swindon's 4-3 Wembley win over Leicester and landed the club a place in the Premier League.
Paul Bodin from the spot for Swindon. He scored!
I was a penalty taker during that season. And I was quite successful, so I just stepped up, and it was only afterwards when you watch the game back and you read about it, and over the years, as the years go by, you realise the importance of the penalty. Many people have said to me afterwards they couldn't even watch, you know, the Swindon supporters were there, they had to turn away, so I'm glad I didn't look up to the crowd.
Fraser Digby now works as a business development manager for a sports company. In 1993, the Swindon goalkeeper was amongst those who never saw the winning goal go in.
I've got to be honest, I never watched any penalties. I was rather superstitious like that. Put my head down and just prayed for the cheer to go up, and it's cheer from our fans. So, no, I certainly didn't watch it.
The penalty drama was just the climax to an astonishing match, with a Glenn Hoddle-inspired Swindon seemingly cruising to promotion, as Digby recalls.
That game really was a perfect example of time at Swindon Town. You know, we were up 3-0 up and coasting it, you know, only after a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden they've got back to 3-3.
And looks for Thompson, and Thompson has equalised!
And then you think, how can we throw this away now, you know? And then good old Chalky wins a penalty, and Paul Bodin, safe as ever, bangs it home.
Swindon's Wembley triumph put these players alongside the 1969 League Cup winning side, and news of their promotion brought the town to a standstill.
We had a fantastic trip back down the motorway. I mean, they're the memories as well which stick heavily in your mind, and the road into Swindon along Queen's Drive, cram-packed with people.
It was fantastic, and these are the things now where you know, I'm sat at a desk and I'm travelling around the country, you know, visiting sports clubs. You know, that's the bit that you always remember.
So tomorrow's Swindon v Leicester rematch has rather a lot to live up to. Phil Duffel for the West Tonight.
Good job they didn't jump any higher there.
Well, yes, thanks. And still celebrating by the looks of it. And in fact, our Phil was a reporter with a local newspaper 15 years ago and actually attended that match. Great memories for him and Swindon supporters as well. But you were at that match at Wembley too.
I was.
As a radio young person.
Yes. Some would say go back to that, yeah. Yeah, I did the commentary on the game, and it was 3-0 to Swindon. I went to the toilet, came back 8 minutes later, 3-3. Couldn't believe what had been going on. Extraordinary game.
Well, that serves you right, doesn't it?
Yeah, doesn't it? Never go during a game.
Right? And as we know, Phil's at the county ground for us now. Phil.
Hello Lisa, yes, not in the toilet, but just outside the main entrance. It's been pretty busy here today, of course, and I'm joined by one of the legends of that 93 side, Sean Taylor. Bristol City fans will remember him as well. Sean, got to ask you first of all, before we get on to tonight's celebrations, about the developments here. Another manager's gone. What do you make of that?
Well, no, I was sort of surprised just a bit. It did happen with the results of this week, the 2 defeats in the Cup, and where they're lying in the position in the league, whatever. So it does happen. Like I say, now Swindon looking for a new manager.
I'm sure they won't go back to Hoddle and Gorman, but maybe they should look at some of the other legends from that year, the likes of Colin Calderwood, Martin Linger in management.
Yeah, they're in positions now, obviously Colin at Forest and Martin at Orient. I mean, why not? It maybe needs someone a bit local just to get the club going again.
So what about 1993? Big reunion party tonight. I mean, tell us about your goal. Of course, you were a scorer in that game.
I was, yeah. Quite well. I felt quite brave that I managed. I didn't think I was favourite to get the ball, and I managed to get in front of the keeper and head it in to make it 3-0. And I think everyone thought that was it, whatever. But we don't make it too easy then, and they come back to 3-0. And I think, like you said, you always seen the goal from Paul Bodin to win us the game.
Still the greatest moment of your footballing career?
I think of my footballing career. I mean, I did it all in one day. Really scored, played at Wembley, and managed to obviously have a chance in playing the Premiership. So in one day I achieved all the ambitions that I started off with.
One word answer, Sean. Fraser Digby said he didn't watch the penalty. Were you watching as Paul scored?
Yes, I was watching. Yeah, it was very key that I felt very confident. Paul had done very well all season, whatever, and it was important that he took it away.
OK, enjoy the evening tonight from a chilly county ground. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much, Phil. You know, he said he was brave, Sean Teller. That's not the right word. Nuts.
David Byrne took on the caretaker role for a second time at Swindon following the sacking of Maurice Malpass on Friday. Avie Boothroyd is a leading front runner for the job, with Ian Holloway an interested party too. Leicester looked set to return to the top when Matt Oakley fired in. Matty Fryer was then gifted the second, his 15th of the season, following a bit of a howler from Swindon keeper Phil Smith. But with just 6 minutes left, there was a dramatic turnaround by the managerless club. Whoever the new boss is, he'll have a tough job on his hands to keep hold of Simon Cox, who also netted his 15th goal of the season. And 2 minutes later, parity was restored when Leicester failed to clear and Barry Corr acrobatically volleyed in.
Well, it wasn't a bad weekend for our football clubs either, really. Southampton were the only losers, but they fought hard against the runaway leaders Wolves. Reading kept the pressure on the Championship's top club by seeing off Sheffield United, while Aldershot maintained their unbeaten home record. But the match of the weekend was at managerless Swindon Town. Assistant manager David Byrne took charge of Swindon following last week's departure of Maurice Malpass. He was handed a baptism of fire, though, as high-flying Leicester were the visitors to the county ground. Town held firm until Matt Oakley found a way through early in the second half. Indecision from keeper Phil Smith allowed Matt Fryer to double the Foxes' lead 15 minutes from time, as City looked set to return to the top of League One. But Simon Cox and Swindon had other ideas. The 21-year-old stroked home his 15th goal of the season with 6 minutes left to play. And then 120 seconds later, Barry Corr smashed home the equaliser to earn Town an unlikely point. A comeback like this will give everyone at Swindon a much-needed lift.
Ball and Swindon Town are drawing up a short list for the vacant manager's job at the county ground. When I spoke to the chairman, Andrew Fitton, a short while ago, he said he had spoken on the phone to many of those who've applied, but had not yet held any formal talks. He did say tantalisingly that the successful candidate is likely to come from those already mentioned in the media. And as the fans left Saturday's game, there was no doubt about who they wanted.
Holloway, I think. Yeah, Holloway. That's my choice, I think.
Holloway or Dowie. Holloway would be...
Holloway!
Yeah, Holloway. He'd make a good job of it, definitely.
It was up to caretaker David Byrne to start the revival, but goals from Leicester's Matt Oakley and then Matt Fryer left Swindon 2-0 down with just 15 minutes to play. So, cue the comeback. On 84 minutes, Simon Cox scored his 15th of the season. 2 minutes later, Barry Corr went for a more spectacular finish. 2-2 and a much-needed point for Swindon.
I've been asked to pick up, the team and prepare them for the foreseeable future. How long that is, I don't know. But I'm committed to the club and I'll give it 100% as the players did today.
When Matty Fryer pounced to give Leicester a 2-0 lead, it looked as though Swindon's post-Maurice Malpass era would start with a defeat. But 2 goals in as many minutes changed all that. Simon Cox netted his 15th of the season to start the fight back. And substitute Barry Corr got the equaliser as chairman Andrew Fitton looks to draw up his short list of managerial candidates.